Good evening, and thank you for being with us at the Saudi Media Forum. Highly appreciate your interaction and engagement, and I highly appreciate the time for our panelists, Dr. Hashim Al Ghannam and Dr. Aqila. As a matter of fact, you have this kind of introduction and bio of our great panelists. We're gonna explore this important topic, which is the intellectual security and ideology variables and solutions. We'll start with the introduction and to simplify this kind of title of this session, I will start with the Dr. Debasher, your own definition of intellectual security. Welcome, Rana, and I would like to welcome Dr. Hisham Al-Ghanam, and I would like to thank the organizers of this forum and the kind invitation. And my thanks, my thanks go to the audience. The concept of intellectual security, it's a broad definition, but I'm gonna focus on the small part, which is the immunization of intellect to save and protect intellect from the extremism and radicalization, and go into the abyss of extremism, and we might have some sort of confusion, and which is the limitation and the restrictions of the freedom or cultural shutdown. We might have a way out for the intellectual security to be a positive one. This topic closely related to a negative ideology, which is a crisis, which is a crisis suffered by the different societies. So we have growing challenges in the light of the new technologies and artificial intelligence, and spreading and advancing this kind of a negative ideology. I would like to thank the organizers of this forum, this blessed forum, headed by His Excellency the Minister of Media, His Excellency Sulaiman al-Dusari. We are on international platform, and so we should be cautious in defining terms and to refine and tweak the definition of such essential term. It's not when we talk about intellectual security, it's not to restrict the intellectual security, but the vision itself has sparked the creative mind, and we are so keen to restrict hatred speech and indoctrination, to counter the ideas and the negative ideology without having counter narrative. It will be a miserable failure. So we countering and refuting extremist ideas without narrative ticket to a rooms which enhance this kind of ideology, negative ideology. We need not to be ensnared in this kind of a trap. This is the essence of the vision. We counter the negative ideology through centers with the fully fledged project, and this is the key foundation of the Vision 2030. In different pillars, economic and political and societal. The extremism ideology based on or capitalized on the complex religious opinions, um, the previous messaging before the internet and social media, it was more more complicated in ideology with the in depth. Which one much riskier? I think the one that we face right now, which is very superficial ideology, and what happened outside the Arab world. We're discussing as such before this session, even with the AI, and some companies washed their hands to control this content, and leave the responsibilities on the shoulder of governments to control and regulate the fake. So unless we work to be proactive, I think this is can push us into undesired consequences. I'm going to talk about a very important point which is related to the individual responsibility today. When we rely on individuals to take decisions to verify misinformation and fake news, it's impossible. The individual needs to be supported, education, and to educate these individuals. So the responsibility is on the shoulder of the institutions and organizations today to face this kind of ideology, negative ideology. It is to immunize intellect and intellectual security. We should start with the awareness, and we can start with the education and curriculum. We should start at early stage of education. We should have this kind of diverse cultures. If we look at the Western experience, as long as I'm coming from France, and I studied at the French University, So I would like to say that, and this is the reality. I'm explaining or describing a reality. Children at schools, they start at 2.5 year at early childhood education. They start with the awareness, and still awareness. Even we can talk about the philosophy. The philosophy itself can be taught as an action, as an action before being thinking. We and You mentioned the ideology. What is the ideology in philosophy? The ideology can be defined in from the philosophy perspective. Some beliefs and thoughts and ideas. Um, um, uh, how individual think, or societal, economic, political topics. So a number of ideas. It's not a negative ideology if it's taken from the positive one. It's not. It's not randomized or a random thinking. If it's a careful thought, but if slide into the closed mind, I think this is a crisis. But the philosophical thinking is open to discussion, debate. So we have noticed that decision making in the Western civilization resort to philosophers before taking any decisive decision, and the philosophy is part and parcel of the curriculum to accept and accept others, and to accept criticism without any complications or sensitivity. Dr. Al-Ghannam, we have explored the individual responsibility when Mark um, created Meta and X, there is no actual control on the spread of misinformation and the fake news. In the past, we have that sort of controls. Are you concerned? The critical thinking is very important. A redefined citizenship is very important as well, and redefining the concepts that we are very we shy to to discuss. We should redefine such concepts to be fully aligned with the this era. The jurists and look into the legitimate interest and the no harm principles, but we should apply the international relation theories and redefine the political legitimacy, which can create benefits and deter harm. I think education can play a pivotal role because family and the parents alone cannot control as such, because the deep fake and other different forms with the amazing amazing speed of AI. Right now, we are at a turning point in addressing such issues. If we take, for instance, the extremist movements and organization, they rely on perceived history. It's not a real history, and outside the international norms. So we should criticize and find loops and holes in this kind of narrative, their narrative of perceived history, and just to be able to discern the right and the wrong aspect of such extremist narratives, and the such extremist groups and organization leveraged the social media for indoctrination and radicalization. As I said, if we don't have this kind of counteracting narrative, and just to counter arguments, and refuse such arguments of the extremists, you cannot defeat them. I think for the Western far right extremists rely on such narration or narrative, the perceived history. Talk about. I remember an article how populism can change the foreign policy. It's all about the impact of Trump and Sanders, and their impact on foreign policy, and we have this kind of populism, just perceive and perceived history, which is not which doesn't exist. So such movements, we shouldn't rely on the security dimension only, but we should have this kind of intellectual argument, and just to refute their messaging and radicalization. Otherwise, you're shooting your arm, your leg. So we need to know the impact of social media on such negative ideology, and I think this is reflected on the streets and enhance the ideology that they try to publicize, and he has the largest platform such as X and Twitter. That Musk, this is the main concern today. It is called the intellectual bubble, and we face as such on the platforms. Why? Social platform is as long as it has helped us and reduced the role of the conventional and traditional media. And right now, we're in an era of digital words and digital platform, and the news travels as fast as possible, as soon as possible, and we have algorithm as editor in chief. I'm a journalist. For instance, you you're interacted with the a post, so the algorithm will capture as such activity and renew this kind or nominate the same content in the same post from different from the same dimensions. So the user of such a platform is a hostage, of some specific messages. So to follow as a priority such posts that they follow. So they keep themselves in a closed circle. So this is create this kind of intellectual bubble. So this is the greatest issue. He is entrapped. So from here started the journey of radicalization, and which breeds violence, because in this case they take sides to the extremism organization. So we need to ensure transparency, and the platforms, some platforms, profit platforms. So with the lack of control and transparency, but they are interested in interaction and engagement for generating profits, with the lack of control of and no filters, and this is created this sort of division. We have this kind of division. Even the far right, if you need to ignite or spark an issue, you can post a fake news on any platform, which can trigger international conflict or international crisis. The crisis between France and Algeria started with a blogger who spread fake news, which circulated far and wide, which created this kind of crisis, and we can explore hidden secrets and hidden tools of social media. So we should have a strategy as if you want not to shed light on such theories related to a negative ideology. And we know for sure that the controller, the owner of such platforms, if they take a decision not to impose control, so we cannot change the landscape. So do you think, as part of the strategy, if you can give us example for a specific strategy? We don't have this kind of tools and the mechanisms. So it's we have laws and regulations set to combat hatred and radicalization and recruitment and such radical organization feed on this kind of civilizational defeat. So to take us back centuries back. So the way and the approach that we should adopt and debate. We don't compete. We don't we don't we don't we don't wage a war against the Western societies. So to prevent radicalization, it's easy. It's easier than to fight and combat extremism. So how can we combat to combat extremism, to deny them such tools and such means, and just to create this kind of ability to discern between the fake and the true facts. And this is comes based on the responsible decision making and concerted efforts and joint action of the international community, and it's a joint responsibility of individuals, families, and international institutions and media organizations and individual themselves. I think this is that the ignorance can protect. It's not a solution itself, but the immunization of the society. It's not to block such means, but to counter argument with the argument and the legitimize the fake news and media outlets. If I need to talk about in US, I give an example from US, and I live in Washington DC. We have severe political divisions, which is the food and the source of which some media outlets feed on, and we have a responsibility, Dr. Bishi, for the media outlets not to promote and circulate such negative ideology, right? Right. But we have directed media, so we hope that the Western and the Arabic media to be transparent, open, just so spreads only the truth, because the role of journalism and the media is to convey and communicate the truth and the facts, true facts, to the consumers or the audience. Doctor, you are a permanent host to the media outlets. So what is your perspective regarding the role of such media outlets in controlling the negative ideology, to increase awareness and to remove ignorance, and this is a huge burden on the shoulder of the Arab media outlets. And when we say control, it doesn't mean regulate, and but to the verification of information, because it's a loose battle, because it's hard to set barriers against the flow of information, but you can set theories to understand this kind of information. And this is the optimal approach, and to understand such information, such news stories from the professional and the non-professional. This is a huge flow. If we not if in case the awareness isn't posted. Isn't posted, we can face huge channels. AI, it's not YouTube and Facebook and Twitter. It's much bigger than that. I think if we take it seriously, and be proactive and initiate such kind of work, we cannot face. Awareness is a very important piece. But as long as we have what we call the intellectual awareness or intellectual security, this means crack down, but to protect the identity and the culture, and accepting other cultural differences, we can have this kind of openness while we protect and preserve our identity and our culture. We can maintain both sides of the equation. When we have this kind of when we have this kind of openness, we have no restrictions on the ideas, and the openness to other doesn't mean prevent us from maintaining our identity. We can have this kind of integration, openness, while maintaining our identity and our language. And the good evidence, if we look at the media initiatives and the cultural initiatives and societal initiatives and economic initiatives that the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia have been engaged in and launching, you can recognize the purpose of the purpose and the true meaning of the intellectual security. We can look at the key dimensions: societal and economic, the transformation, and enhancing the national identity and the renew and the diversification of economy, because such parts and such organization fade on the slowdown of economy. Uh, uh, Doctor said the secret is economy, because such organization, extremist organization, depend on rely on social and societal ills. So for recruitment, they focused on such kind of economic and societal aspects, and radicalization. Radicalization feeds on such societal deteriorating societal and economic dimensions. So so the negative and the positive impact, you can look at USA. Um, uh, uh, an interview of Trump and Rogan. It was a turning point, and I think, yes, this is what we wonder. This is the track, and today we learn new things. What concerns the reader, the viewer. We wouldn't imagine one day that the podcast would attract such a kind of wide viewership, and this is challenge itself. The traditional media should answer such questions and justify its presence, and I think they can justify its viability, and this is it's a must for sustainability, and so I would like to ask you a question. This is this is this is should we should build strategies, because because technology is going faster than we could have ever managed. Even if the artificial intelligence, it was hard to verify such pictures made by artificial intelligence or not, and this is create and impose new challenges to face the negative and counter negative ideology. Just I would like to talk about the government efforts. We have at Naif University, we have a center which is AI driven. I will try to be proactive. So we conduct and we hold a number of workshops and conferences to be proactive. As you said, that we have been witnessing an unprecedented race of such new technologies, and such race hasn't been witnessed by the humanity And I think we are in a great transformation era, and I think GCC countries are so proactive in this regard. And we have evidence. We have been pushing boundaries regarding initiatives to address such kind of concerns and risks. And we have as well ministers, special and specialized centers in institutionalized before this wave. Before the rise of such wave, and we have government centers to face such kind of negative ideologies, and I have read extensively about this topic, and it's a new topic for me. When we cover the political landscape, we face a challenge, but regarding the protection of IP, we have this kind of piracy of ideas. So we should have this kind of a protection of IP and intellectual protection. Uh, 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 Intellectual property. So we need to protect and safeguard such rights. So what about this? Is a red line in the Kingdom of so intellectual, which is closely related to the economic and commercial dimensions, which are related to international trade. And the Kingdom is a position, but is has positioned itself as international trade hub, and this is part to protect creativity. And today we showcase the solutions to the challenges that we have been talking about. So we move to we might set aside the philosophy and to explore your experience in media coverage. Some media outlets tried to stream news stories, and before as such they do a due process of verification, and how to discern or distinguish between the false and the right news story. We should have this kind of credibility. So you should publish shouldn't publish fabricated news or fake news, and we can play a role that when we see faked news, your role as a journalist, you should do your investigation, just investigation to distinguish between fake and true news stories. And I still remember an interview of Trump with the different face today. This is has become this is the reality that we should cope with. But the greatest problem is that we have specific personalities who would like to trigger and post news to attract traffic without verification of such news, if they are genuine or false news. I think I would like to avoid technicalities and take a step back and take a larger pictures, and it's not deep fake, but we have a challenge. We have a civilizational and cultural challenge. The extremism organization focused on the weakness points, and this is extended over centuries. We should address outright or out front, and without addressing such gaps in media coverage. And we should leverage from such platforms, the new media, including broadcast, to promote and circulate the counter arguments to refute their messaging, their messaging. So this is to keep it on the radar. So you should counter by providing this is counter narratives and counter theories and counter ideas, and a project which is national project which can elevate the nation. And this is a new approach regarding it's not applying in USA. And such ideas worthy of noting and consideration, because this is not only serve specific national interest, but the international community interest as a whole. So, from your own experience, Doctor, in philosophy education at Paris University, so how can you handle the ideology, the negative ideology with your students? How can you interpret how to verify the verification and the vetting and the filtering the news stories? When we talk about the French students or foreign students, they have this kind of philosophical uh, uh, um, um, shaping up at the age of two and a half years. The philosophy is not lecturing, but it's a conduct, it's a behavior, and how can we debate, how organize when we educate philosophy at university. I think they have acquired the set of skills to debate critical thinking and opening to the others, and and the good evidence that the Western universities open their doors for foreign and international students. And I was one of the international students studying at Western University, combating extremism. The protection started at home, from family, when the parents open a frank conversation and a dialogue with their children, and just gradually we can educate them the right approach for coexistence, and for accepting the others, and not to adopt heterodox speech. We have seen models of Arab families. We can start with the open mindedness, and as such, we can enhance the societal cohesion by bringing up our children on such noble principles and values. It's very important for the diaspora and such communities, such radicalized organizations rely on amplifying its image as absolute good against absolute bad. So we shouldn't be trapped by their narrative. There is no absolute good or absolute bad. So I think this is the key foundations to dismantle this kind of radical ideology, and deconstruct such kind of ideology. The final question, and to conclude this workshop with the some optimistic notes. Are you optimistic of the future? I'm so optimistic. I think I'm talking about the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia as a country and as a society who are fully aware and who are proactive in addressing such kind of negative ideology, and we have an upper hand compared to other countries in such. Are you optimistic about the future? We have a huge challenge to setting a balance between intellectual security and cultural openness. But optimism is very important aspect. Thank you, thank you. I would like to thank your attendance and the participation, and see you next Saturday. I would like to thank you.